Hello, YouTube. Hello, Instagram. We are live. Good evening, friends. I'm so excited. Couple minutes late because daylight savings time has got us a little bit backwards on where we need to put our lights so you can see my face. So hopefully you can see my face pretty well. We've updated where we're locating lights. So hi, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Family live show and podcast. I'm your host, Sinikka, and I'm so excited to get into what we're going to talk about today. Before I jump in, though, I want you to know our favorite phrase, forever I choose you, is now available in a cozy, tangible tool, you guys, so that you can wear it at home on a daily basis or when you go out and about to remind yourself and your beloved and the people that you see to choose your spouse and love them well every day. And I am so excited about these because when my husband and I were at the marriage retreat, it was like last weekend, I had this packed and I was ready to wear it. And when I opened my suitcase as I got to the marriage retreat, I really realized, yes, I do choose my husband. Forever, I do choose my husband. So that is what these sweatshirts are all about. If you're just tuning in right now, welcome to the Soul Family Live Show and Podcast. I'm Sinikka, and this sweatshirt, this thing is now available in our Soul Creations Photography online shop. I'm so excited it's here for you guys because it's here to be used as a tool for you to hashtag forever I choose you. Forever I'm with you, my friends. So this sweatshirt just reminds us we're here for the forever. And because we're here for the forever, I am here with you now in order to dive into our topic today, which is what to do when you feel like your marriage is fine, but you really are not doing fine. Okay, I know you guys have heard that word before. We're doing fine. But really, that word generally means, I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about something else right now. And one day we'll figure that out, but it's not going to be right now. Okay, yes. In regards to that, I want to talk about how when you're feeling fine, most of the time is because you are focusing on everything else except your spouse. You're selflessly out there serving the world. And your spouse is at home, or you're the one at home who's feeling hurt or maybe even forgotten. So I want you guys at the end of this episode to be able to walk away saying, my marriage is my most important priority. My number one priority, only beneath your relationship with God. And so with that, I've got a story for you tonight. When I was growing my photography business back in 2016, just a few years ago, actually, isn't that amazing? How the Lord just blows things up way beyond what you anticipate in ways you never thought. So back in 2016, when I was first starting my business, I was doing 25 plus weddings on my own and then doing second shooting and all the things you can imagine for growing my photography business. I was hustling. I was the exact definition of hustling in that season. And I think it was on my way to a wedding that I heard on K-Love, because if you guys haven't heard of K-Love, it's incredible. By the way, background noise, there is a lot of construction going on outside. I'm sure you can hear that. And right now my husband is with my little one outside watching those construction crews because that is great entertainment for a 1-year-old. Okay, so we're in the car. It's just me. And I'm on my way to a wedding listening to K-Love. And this speaker comes on, this artist who's explaining what the next song is and his reflection and heart about it. I honestly don't remember who the artist was, but the story he told will stay with me forever. He was explaining why that year he was cutting half of their concerts completely. He was not going to go to half the places they said they were. They were completely chopping off half of the plan, you guys. He was saying that he was out there serving the world. He had a ministry. There were people who were desperately needing blessings from songs. oh my gosh, I don't know if it was Chris Tomlin. I don't know if it was Matthew West, but can you imagine like going to one of their concerts, Casting Crowns? That was a big one for me, is life-changing and life-giving. And this artist said, you know what, guys, honestly, we can't anymore. We're cutting half of our schedule because every day I'm with you, I'm not with my family. Every day I say a great yes to something else for our band and our ministry. I say a great no to what's happening at home. And I'm missing things. And I'm missing my spouse. And you know what, you guys? This is what he said, quote unquote. I have been putting my marriage on the altar of ministry. Doesn't that just hit ya? Doesn't that just hit ya? Ministry is great. Ministry can be you in your corporate office. Ministry can be you serving the church wherever you are. Ministry is anything you're doing with the heart behind it that's like, I'm going to glorify God in that. This is what I'm meant to do. That's your ministry. But this artist was putting his marriage on the altar of ministry. He was sacrificing it. He was saying, you know what? This ministry, these thousands of people who are here listening need this. They need this. And our marriage is going to be fine. You'll be home when I get there. When I heard those words, I'm in the car and I'm just like totally crying, because at that point in my life, I had been putting my marriage, sorry for the noise, I've been putting my marriage on the altar of ministry in that season of life. And it was so convicting. And it was so hard to wrap my head around the fact that I had been harming my own marriage. So what I want you to know is that if you're married, your ministry, your main ministry is your marriage. It is your number one priority beneath your relationship with God. Your marriage is your ministry. And I want to ask you if you are putting it on the altar for ministry. If you're married, your ministry is your marriage. But where you spend your time, both physically and mentally, is where fruit is actually going to grow. Here's where we come back to the fine point. Doing just fine. Sure. Probably not. Because you're not spending time on the marriage. You're not spending time in your marriage. Holy cow, that is a loud construction site. Sorry. Can't even do anything about it. We're just going to walk through it, and we're just going to say, you know what, Satan, get behind us, because we have some very critical things to talk about tonight, you guys, and nothing's going to be stopped. I'm not going to be stopped by this construction that's even getting in my head. No, because where you spend your time, both physically and mentally, is where fruit is going to go. So if you spend time on your ministry, outside of the house, in your corporate office, in your studio, at the wedding barn, I'm thinking about wedding photography, at the real estate office, wherever you are, at the church, and wherever people are desiring your ministry to be, that's where fruit is going to grow. But if you forget, and if you don't take the time when you come home and to make time to come home, the fruit's not going to grow at home, you guys. Your marital fruit is just as important. And here's what I want you to know. If you continue to do all the good things, let's say there's a church banquet you got over here. We're going, you guys. I'm hosting it. I'm leading it. I'm doing that Bible study. I'm doing this other Bible study. I'm going over here to this football game because friends are going to be there. I'm going to go over here and do this awesome servant thing and lead a retreat. And I'm going to go and be all over the country doing all these great concerts, and I'm working and I'm traveling because I'm bringing home money. That's great. That's great. Ministry is great. Those are all great things. But the excellent thing in your main ministry is going to be impacted. Because if you continue to do all the good things, the few excellent things will be harmed. They will be harmed. Here's what I want you to remember. I want you to hang your hat on the statement, I will not put my marriage on the altar of ministry. I will not put my marriage, my vows on the altar of ministry. When you are putting them in the altar, you are sacrificing. You are actually saying a great no to your marriage while you say a great yes to whatever great ministry God's called you to as well. And God's got tons of gifts he wants you to share with the world, you guys. I'm not saying don't do ministry. I am saying keep them in priority. Ministry number 1 underneath your relationship with God is to your spouse. Ministry number 2 is to your family, if you have little kids. Ministry number 3, world. There you go. Great stuff to happen in the world. But those priorities got to be in order because everyone has an opinion about those priorities. I am 100% sure that every single person you know has an opinion on where you spend your time and how hard you're working and what ministry you should be a part of and all of the things that they believe you should be doing. I believe everyone has an opinion about your ministry and where you should spend your time, but not everyone has a vote on how you spend your time. Not everyone has a vote. Everyone has an opinion, but the people that have the votes are you and your spouse. If Alan was here, he's downstairs with little John right now because they're watching construction, but he is my second vote. It is me and him together that vote if I'm leaving a job, if I'm changing a job, if I'm picking up a project that's going to take more time away from home, if I'm going on a work trip. He and I are the ones making those decisions. Everyone in the world has an opinion on how you minister to them and to the world. Everyone has an opinion, but not everyone has a vote. And guys, if that is the other thing you take away from tonight, oh Lord, let that be the one. Because I'm 100% sure that there are also probably places in your life that you may not be taking that vote into account. So here's your reflection questions. And oh my gosh, I feel like I have so many tangents that I want to take us on. So there's 5 questions I'm going to put in the comments for you and your spouse to be thinking about, because I really want you guys to both say, I will not put my marriage on the altar of ministry. I forever choose you, and I will not put my marriage on the altar of ministry. Oh, how powerful is that? Lord, that is the Lord. That is covenantal, unconditional love that's saying my marriage with you, my number 2 vote, this is my vocation. This is my number 1 ministry. My marriage underneath my relationship with God is my number 1 ministry. Okay, you guys, so here are your 5 reflection questions. Number 1, where are you spending most of your time? Where? Are you at the office? Are you at the studio? Are you out with friends? Are you both together with a ton of friends? Are you with him? Where are you? Number 2, when you are at home, what is taking up most of your brain space? Because you could be physically at home. Maybe you have a remote job and you work from home, but your brain, you're not there. You're home, but you're not home. And we know that. Your spouse knows that. So number 1, where are you spending most of your time? And when you are home, number 2, what is taking up your brain space? Number 3, do you have a daily rhythm of reconnecting with your spouse in a dedicated, sacred way? And when I say the word sacred, I mean you two, a marital, bonded, united, one flesh couple. That is dedication and that's sacredness in and of itself. So for you two to have a daily rhythm of reconnecting, of saying, hey, babe, I see you. We're here in this together, this world together. I will hold your hand. And as we go on a walk with little John, because he's doing whatever exploring, but I know I'm here with you. I'm here with you. And we got a little awesome little guy going. But I'm here. I'm still choosing you. I'm still here with you. And I still see you. And I'm still reconnecting with you. What's your daily rhythm? Do you have a daily rhythm of reconnecting at the end of the day, after your kids go to bed, after all the stuff is done, or in the morning? before all this stuff begins with your spouse in a sacred, dedicated way. Question number 4, what can you do to show your beloved, because I know guys are watching this too, so that's awesome. Hello. That's why we're saying beloved. What can you do to show your beloved that today you choose them? Because we're talking a lot about future changes. I'm asking you to sit down and chat with your spouse and say, humbly, I'm coming to you saying, there's a lot of stuff that I actually have been doing, but I'm putting our marriage on the altar in order to do that. That's a big conversation. There's going to be a lot of changes that come from that in the future. But what I don't want you to do is, after you hear me right now, that you go and continue doing exactly what you've been doing. I want you to today choose to say, forever I choose you, babe. I want you to today say, I choose you, and I'm showing you that by doing X. I'm showing you that by taking out the trash. I'm showing you that by giving you a hug. I'm showing you that by taking a date night, carving out time so that we can have a one-on-one connection. I want you to show your beloved that today you choose them. Number 5, and I'm going to put all these in the notes, and I'll put them on the notes, so get all your 5 questions down there. Number 5, what decisions about your career or your lifestyle are you making on your own that may be harming your marital life? What decisions are you casting with just your vote? And maybe forgetting that you've got another vote to take into account. What decisions have you been making on your own that are impacting your marriage, that are harming your marriage? I want you to walk through this hard stuff, because it's through these hard questions in your own heart and soul, and realizing I'm not everything. I'm not doing a great job right here. Like there are some big things that I'm saying yes to, but the biggest thing I'm saying no to. No one's enjoying listening to that, but here's the thing, that is the most important thing. And that is why we talk about it. We talk about it because it matters. I show up here every Monday at 5:30, and my husband hangs out with my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and they're watching the babe. I'm taking time to remind you to show up, to choose your spouse well, because it matters. It matters so much. So, what decisions about your career or your lifestyle are you making on your own that may be harming your marital life? Because everybody will have an opinion about what you should do. But there's not just one vote. There's 2 votes. There's 2 votes that count. Y'all, to take away from this tonight, to take away okay, Sinikka, you just laid down a lot, and that was intense. I want you to know, more than anything, that your marriage is your number 1 ministry, and you can make it so. You can make it so. You're not trapped in your job. You're not trapped in your career. You're not trapped in your choices to make your ministry more important than your marriage. So here's just 3 ways, just 3, that you can really use this week to make your marriage your number 1 ministry. Okay, so number 1 of how to make your marriage your number 1 ministry. 1, speak your spouse's love language. Earlier this week, we were kind of talking about love languages. If you have not read the book, 5 Love Languages, Gary Chapman, read it. Or also, either or, take the online test, but definitely do the online test because it's free and it's really helpful. And the way that you receive love, I need to be appreciated. That's the best way to say it. Words of affirmation are important to me, to know that I am actually loved and valued, and Alan's glad to be with me. That's mine, as well as quality time. Getting that one-on-one connection time is really critical as well for me. So those are my love languages, and I end up giving the love languages to Alan that I usually receive. That's the best way I'm able to be loved. But that's not the best way that he's able to be loved. His number one is quality time, is just totally quality time. And so being able to love him with a lot of quality time is really important. When for me, not a lot of quality time is important. So here, to make your marriage your number one ministry, I don't want you to speak your love language to your spouse. I want you to speak your spouse's love language. I want you to learn it and love them well in the language that makes sense to them. That's number one for how to make your marriage your number one ministry, because it is your number one ministry beneath your relationship with God. Number two, I want you to pray for your marriage together. If there is a lot of stuff going on within your hearts right now as you're listening to this, God's got to be in there too, you guys. Like, there is no grace, no humility enough that we have as humans that we could stand on in order to make marriage like that unconditional covenantal love bond. Like, that just, Jesus is needed to be right in the center of that, you guys. So number two, pray for your marriage together, whether that's in the morning or at night. Take it to the Lord and be like, you know what, Jesus, like, we need your grace, humility, and wisdom to know what to do and to have humble hearts to be able to even say out loud, like, I am putting marriage on the altar of ministry. And now I feel bad and he feels bad. And what do we do with this? Let the Lord enter in so that you are blessed with his grace and peace and patience and joy and unending love. That is number two, guys, because Lord can handle it all. Number three, to make your marriage your number one ministry, because it is your number one ministry, it is greater than any other ministry in the world if you're married. For you, it's important underneath your relationship with God. Number three, carve out space for time to be together. At our marriage retreat last weekend, the thing that everyone kept saying to us, and the biggest takeaway we had, was you actually need a guaranteed weekly date night on your calendar. It doesn't matter if you are in your home, if you are sitting on the couch and you are just taking time to look at each other one-on-one. Like, it's okay if it's just like in your home's hot tub or your apartment complex's hot tub, or you are going out for dinner, or you don't have a babysitter. Sit on the ground and eat pizza together, order in something and you are there after the kids go to bed. But number three is to carve out space for time to be together. Time to be together, because it's through that you foster love for one another. It's through that you even feel excited to be around each other. It's because you are carving out that space in your heart that's like, you are number one in my life, and I will carve out that time for you. Underneath our relationship with Jesus. And everybody says, oh my heavens, everyone is like, carve out time for Jesus. Like, that is the most important relationship. And even sometimes we forget to do that. Sometimes it totally gets off the schedule and doesn't get put back on. Sorry, I'm getting all excited. So in a similar way, and in a very tangible, practical, and real life, physical way, your time with your husband also needs to be intentionally carved out and made space for, and not the last thing you think about at the end of the night, or the thing you think about the next day, like, oh, I totally forgot, or you feel bad throughout the day because you're like, oh, I didn't spend that time. Just make the time, carve out the space, because that is where love is continually fostered, you guys. It's through communion with each other. And no wonder everybody is saying, make time for Jesus, because how are you going to build a relationship with him if you don't? Overall, you guys, make your marriage your number one ministry. Do not put your marriage on the altar of ministry, because your marriage is your number one ministry. And friend, you have got this. Get out there, hug the person you chose to be forever with. You chose to be forever with, and let them know that today, tomorrow, and forever, I choose you. And get yourself a sweatshirt to remind you both of that too. And you can find that on the Soul Creations Photography online shop. I am so happy to have been with you here tonight. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to scan and see. I know we had a question from last week, so I'm going to dive into that really quick before we close out for the night. The question was about how to handle conversations with your spouse if you feel disrespected because they tune you out because you're talking too long? That's basically the question. And for my answer for you for knowing, it takes two to tango, my friend. If your husband is in a space where he's finally able to listen to you, but your stories are going all over the place and he's not able to follow or they're too long, ooh,